But I'm back. I'm here. I ain't gonna leave you guys. But yeah, Libtard Thursday. Libtard Thursday. The Democrats are crazy. The IQ is very, very low. Other than that, let's get into it.
I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people. The dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get a Trump presidency again? The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Really? World War XI. Get this woman up out of here, man. She should not be in Congress. Her intelligence is very low. She be saying stupid stuff all the time.
These people are...
Today we're outside of Quality Learning Center. They spelled the name wrong, so they actually came and corrected it. The interesting about this daycare here in Minnesota is it received $1.9 million in the fiscal year of 2025, and it has a capacity for upwards of 90 children. And what makes the daycare even more interesting is that while the Commissioner of Children in Minnesota was saying that the daycare was closed on a live stream,
Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago.
a Somalian man was outside talking about how they are open, letting children in. And right now they are funneling children into the daycare as well. And right now, they're not really leering much because they have accepted over $1.9 million. And now the Commissioner of Children literally said this place was closed. And now you have people funneling in children. The parking lot's full right now. This is all a big slap. They received $1.9 million. It was a complete fraud. Today,
we've got to talk about the Quality Learning Center, plus more, including Ilhan Omar and old Timmy Walls. Yeah, we got to talk about Timmy. But before we hop into that, I want to give somebody a little bit of credit, okay? And I know some people are going to say, Rich, he's just doing his job. Yeah, I get that. But in today's world, where you have a lot of individuals, we have a lot of rhinos in our party who, find a way to not do their job. John Thune out of South Dakota, he's up for re-election in 2028.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Glad you guys in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. Show these videos of these liberals and Democrats tripping. Fraud. Constantly fraud. Let's continue.
I'm going to keep repeating that because I despise John Thune. He's basically the reason why we haven't just ramrodded legislation through this entire time. It's literally basically come down to John Thune. Okay? So if you're wondering why I keep saying his name, it's because he's the one standing in the way. But anyway, I want to talk about Todd Blanche really quickly. And I want to throw this up on the screen. All right? Todd Blanche.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe.
Okay, after, not FBI. That is Cash Patel. Excuse me. He replaced Pam Bondi, which, I'm not even going to say anything negative about Pam Bondi. Let's just say this. Had Pam Bondi still been there, this would not have been done.
Things have not been as fast as going now.
The Somali fraudsters raid, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Dr. Fauci scientists arrested and indicted. Comey indicted again. ActBlue under investigation. SPLC indicted. Okay. John Brennan under investigation. Fonnie Willis under investigation. J6 liar Cassidy Hutchinson investigation. All of the above. Right? All of the above. In just a couple of weeks. Todd Blanche has been doing a darn thing, so I want to take a little second to say shout out to Todd Blanche. We appreciate you, Todd. We appreciate you. I really didn't know who Todd Blanche was before all of this, but now I'm getting quite familiar with Todd Blanche, and I'm starting to like the guy. Really, really starting to like the guy. Shout out to Todd Blanche. But let's hop on into this FBI raid in Minneapolis. Check it out.
Just moments ago now, large-scale raids targeting federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center. And Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a photographer there at the daycare since this morning, capturing video of those federal agents just going in and out of the building, collecting evidence as part of the DOJ's fraud investigation in Minnesota. Take a look at this video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across Minneapolis this morning, and sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers, and you'll remember they were either closed or there were just no children inside, despite receiving state child care funding. Now, the location that you're looking at right now, it's the Quality Learning Center. This is the daycare. It went viral. It blew up on social media.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe.
That was literally.
Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Name is Deunta. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Why not? Why not today?
Misspelled. The education secretary at the time claimed that the daycare received $1.9 million while, quote, masquerading as a daycare. And then shortly after that, the Trump administration announced it was freezing child care funding to Minnesota and calling for a full audit of certain daycare centers. And just checking my emails now, it looks like we got a statement from DHS sharing, quote, Homeland Security investigations in cooperation with our law enforcement partners executed criminal search warrants in Minneapolis relating to the rampant fraud of U.S. taxpayers' dollars. And as you can see there, federal agents still outside one of those daycare centers where they have been the last few hours.
These other videos.
All of this comes as Governor Tim Walz is expected to deliver his State of the State address tonight, and it obviously comes with a lot of questions over.
Check it out. Check it out.
Brooke, thanks. Brooke Taylor watching that out of Minnesota.
Yeah. Love to hear it. I love to hear it. Didn't happen under Pam Bondi, but it's happening now. All right. And speaking of old Timmy Walz having his speech getting ready to happen, he tried to take credit for what is just called out happening in Minneapolis, and let's just say it didn't really turn out too well for him. Yeah, he got owned not only by Cash Patel, but also by his lie. Not only by Cash Patel, but also by the mayor of Minneapolis. Check it out.
From his own city by FBI Director Cash Patel, and by people in the comments after he posted on X trying to take credit for the large-scale federal raids happening in Minnesota today targeting fraud. Trust me, you will want to see Tim's post, Patel's post, the city's post, and the top responses that follow, which I will quickly show you. Also, don't forget to hit the follow for more news, so let's get right into it. So Tim Walz posted, today's raids by state and federal law enforcement happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it.
Good morning, bro. What's up, Jarnell? Good morning. Good morning.
That's how the system is supposed to work, and our agencies will keep at it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. If you commit fraud in Minnesota, you are going to get caught, and that's exactly what we saw today.
Got the grandson here, so I've been busy with him, me and the wife with the grandson. But other than that, I'm here with you guys, here for you guys. I'm glad you guys stopped by. Thank you.
We catch criminals when state and federal agencies share information. Joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. Now let's work on a joint investigation into the K-word of Alex Preddy and Renee Good instead of cherry-picking when...
Brooke, thanks. Brooke Taylor watching
of Minneapolis. Check it out.
From his own city by FBI Director Cash Patel, and by people in the comments after he posted on X trying to take credit for the large-scale federal raids happening in Minnesota today targeting fraud. Trust me, you will want to see Tim's post, Patel's post, the city's post, and the top responses that follow, which I will quickly show you. Also, don't forget to hit the follow for more news, so let's get right into it. So Tim Walz posted, today's raids by state and federal law enforcement happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it. That's how the system is supposed to work, and our agencies will keep at it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. If you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught, and that's exactly what we saw today. We catch criminals when state and federal agencies share information. Joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. Now let's work on a joint investigation into the K-word of Alex Preddy and Renee Good instead of cherry-picking when we seek justice and when we turn a blind eye. Kash Patel, come again? This FBI and DOJ with our DHS partners drafted and executed every search warrant today. But go ahead and take credit for our work while we smoke out the fraud plaguing Minnesota under your governorship. The city of Minneapolis is not involved in the federal operations being reported around Minnesota today, and as of 9:30 a.m., MPD has not been asked to assist with the execution of federal warrants. Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, you have zero credibility on this issue. Governor Tim Walz, you have willingly ignored and downplayed the rampant fraud and abuse in Minnesota. This crackdown on fraud has come thanks to the leadership of President Trump. We will hold those who steal from Americans accountable. Autism Capital, there's no way he's trying to take credit for this LMFAO. Holy smokes, the level of diluted manipulation, wow. Representative Claudia, you didn't catch them, Nick Shirley did. Kiss, sure, Tim. And Kevin Dalton, I'm old enough to remember when Governor Tim Walz insisted there was no evidence of fraud in Minnesota. So, will you give Tim Walz credit? Oh.
So
hell no, I get no credit.
And as the last person said there, it wasn't very long ago.
He should be fired. He should be not fired, but
that there wasn't any fraud. There was nothing.
He should be arrested.
Now he wants to take credit for the fraud being eradicated. Right. That makes a whole lot of sense. Also, we got to talk about Ilhan Omar because she's gone missing. Kind of interesting on the timing on that one.
More on this tonight. We are joined live by Minnesota State Representative Kristen Robbins. She's the chair of the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, also a candidate for Minnesota governor. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And we hear from Congresswoman Omar, who is said that this is all just a partisan stunt. What is your response to those comments?
Well, I take issue with that. This is not a partisan stunt. This is billions of Minnesota tax dollars and federal tax dollars, because it's a federal school meals program, that have been stolen. And she had a close relationship with some of the fraudsters who owned the Safari restaurant. She had her campaign events there. She appeared in a video that we played in committee where she was speaking in Somali from the restaurant, explaining how the Meals Act, her bill, is what created the opportunity for people to have much more access to these meals during COVID. So she was in on this from the beginning, and I think she should, as a public official, come and answer the questions. So she didn't show up. She didn't respond to us. She didn't respond to a reporter. So we've set a deadline for May 5th for her to respond to our questions.
What specific evidence do you have in regards to the Congresswoman's role in this alleged fraud case?
So there are a few things that are raising concerns, which is why we want to talk to her. So the first is that she authored the Meals Act, which was passed in March of 2020, and that took the guardrails off the federal school nutrition program. So all of a sudden, income requirements, the need to eat the meal on site, the fact that restaurants were now able to provide the meals, all of that happened because of her bill. So she took the guardrails off the program, and then her friends who owned the restaurant and were some of the convicted fraudsters jumped right in and participated. So we need to understand that relationship. But also in the case, the court case, Feeding Our Future, which was the U.S. versus Amy Bach, her staff is listed in many of the trial exhibits for communications between her office and the Feeding Our Future people. So I want to get those.
Right, 6-3, man. Thank God for the Supreme Court, man. They own it, man. Thank goodness.
underlying exhibit documents, and so I've asked her office for them. I think it's very important that we understand what kind of communication she was having with these fraudsters, and not everyone in the documents has been charged, but many of the people have been.
Yeah, because that whole mapping thing is racist as hell, you know, on the real. There was no way that how they got Louisiana broken down, that should be a district. It makes no sense, but I'm glad everything's working itself out. We keep on winning, baby. We keep winning.
Charged and convicted, and those that aren't, still had a relationship with her office. So we're trying to just understand the truth, and I think she owes it to taxpayers in Minnesota and around the country to come in and answer these questions. Do you?
Oh, she is most certainly tied into all of this. She's connected to all of these individuals, as far as I've seen.
Anything Somalian, she's with it. It's all on her.
Convicted, some of them, of fraud. So you mean to tell me, like, she had no clue what was going on, or possibly wasn't involved in it? Come on now. Like, I might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. All right, like let's call a spade here. You knew exactly what was going on, Ilhan. If not, flat out completely involved in it. I think there's a whole lot of covering up going on here. You guys probably might remember when, I can't remember her position. She worked with the state, I believe, and she was like, the Leering Center is actually closed. It closed down, but in reality, it hadn't closed down. And I think Nick Shirley was talking about that. One of the guys that worked there, or the owner, like came out like a couple of days later saying that they were completely open. So they were all trying to cover for each other, is what it seems like to me. And there was a miscommunication somewhere.
Yeah, a huge miscommunication.
That let me know everything I needed to know about the entire situation. There's a whole lot of covering up going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if once this investigation is over, we find out that a lot of this money that was gotten via fraud, allegedly, it circled back to some of these politicians in donations. Some of these same individuals who were defrauding the government were donating to.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like, my people. That helps us out.
This is about Fannie Willis. Her bullshit. Like and subscribe, everybody. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Why not?
Ton. And, of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, one thing should be dawning on you just as much as it's dawning on me. Donald Trump is not going to stop until he's either out of office or he gets Fannie Willis. That's just the way it is, y'all. That's just what's going to happen. And today's story is yet another step in the direction of Fannie Willis going down. Now, what's happening? In order for you to totally understand today's story, you have to remember something that happened back in September. That was when news broke that there's a subpoena for Fannie Willis's travel records. And everybody started saying, well, what could that be about? Like, was she getting some gold bars outside the country? Was she doing some smuggling? Was she getting a bribe from somebody from another country? Like, what could possibly be going on with that? Well, this case seems like it is developing at this time. And according to the New York Sun newspaper, Fannie's bodyguards, y'all. Now, you know Fannie, she rolled with them bodyguards because she's a celebrity and she needs that personalized protection, right? So, according to the New York Sun, Fannie's bodyguards are also likely to be subpoenaed soon due to some case that is against her that's still somewhat.
Good morning, Matt. Thanks for responding to my video. Thank you for responding to the video I did. Appreciate that. Like, sharing, and comment. Thank you, guys.
Mysterious. So we're going to take a look at that today, y'all. But first, let's remind you of that subpoena from in September, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it.
But we begin tonight with breaking news out of the nation's capital. The New York Times reporting
definitely crazy, man.
That the Justice Department has subpoenaed travel records from Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis. Those records reportedly from around the time of last year's election when Willis traveled overseas. The Times says it's part of a federal grand jury subpoena, and grand jury proceedings are secretive by law. DA Willis charged President Donald Trump in an election interference case, which accused him and his allies of trying to steal votes in an attempt to win the election. A state appeals court said she was disqualified from overseeing the case.
Yeah, Tom Blanche. Yeah, Todd, he's doing his thing, man. It takes a man to get things done, I guess, you know. No disrespect to Pam, but she should have moved much faster. She should have way much faster, but it's cool.
Due to a personal relationship with the attorney she hired to run it. Last week, the Georgia State Supreme Court upheld the decision. Now, we have reached out to the Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and Willis's attorney. So far, there has been no response.
Here, the New York Sun says Fani Willis's bodyguards soon expected to be subpoenaed by federal prosecutors as legal peril deepens for district attorney. That would be Fani, y'all. The federal inquiry is reportedly focused on travel the DA of Fulton County undertook in 2024. Word that bodyguards detailed to protect the DA of Fulton County, Fani Willis, Fani, are under federal investigation underscores how the aggressive Atlanta prosecutor whose case against President Trump and his allies collapsed. It underscores how she is now in legal jeopardy herself, y'all. Those bodyguards, the New York Times reports, are soon expected to be subpoenaed by prosecutors as part of an investigation into the district attorney's travel to the Bahamas in 2024. The probe is being led by the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, Theodore Hertzberg. So there's still not a whole lot of information as to what Fani may have done wrong on that trip or that how that trip may have been associated with some sort of dirty deeds. But remember, Fani has also attracted attention from Washington as Congressman Jim Jordan has long been investigating her alleging misuse of funds. Now, could these things be tied together? Who knows? She has responded in tart tones. Yo, we're going to get to that in this video. You're going to see the way Fani talks to Jordan. So just hang tight. You're going to see that a little later. She has responded in tart tones that the intrusion of federal lawmakers into the affairs of a state prosecutor violate the framers' vision of federalism, y'all. Now get this. An investigation by the DOJ presents greater legal peril to Ms. Willis than legislative probing. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was asked last month. Now I'm about to show you this. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was asked last month at the Conservative Political Action Conference whether Ms. Willis, along with DA Alvin Bragg, would face justice, and he said yes. So we're going to flow. Don't take my word for it, y'all. We're going to flow right into that. We're the acting Attorney General of the country.
That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? All these people silent now. They all in courts. They all on TV brag about how they got Trump by the balls. They got Trump by the balls. Now it's reverse. They all quiet. Barely on TV. That's crazy. They was on TV all the time. Now you barely see them. Look at her face. Look at it. Amazing.
Says that Fani about to get her comeuppance, y'all. Check this out.
So, Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, this cast of characters.
Face of guilt. Yep. They're guilty. Yeah.
Get any justice?
Well, yes. I mean, of course. Like, look, yes. And look, you have these district attorneys across the country. Those are by far the best examples. But
No, worse.
Well, the best examples of examples of being the worst. Yeah, the best examples of the pure weaponization.
When Trump was going through his court cases in New York, he was right there next to Trump on his left side, if not the right side. He should have been the AG. He was right there every time Trump needed something or talked to the media. He was right there when Trump went to court.
By the left of our system of justice. So if you look at Fani Willis, her case was completely annihilated and destroyed for all kinds of reasons. And so, look, when you talk about justice, we're working hard every day. And I don't just say working hard as a cliche. are focused on bringing justice, and it will come. And I know every single person in this room is saying to themselves, why is it taking so long?
Now, as I said earlier, this may all have to do, I'm not sure, but this may have to do with the investigation of Jim Jordan. Now, Fani has been sparring back and forth with Jim Jordan, and she likes to write these strongly worded letters. I'm about to show you. Let's go ahead and get into this whole back and forth between Fani and Jim Jordan and her strongly worded letters that may or may not have to do with this subpoena, these bodyguards, and this investigation that we've been talking about during this video. It says, read the letter from Fani T. Willis to Representative Jim Jordan, y'all. That's exactly what we're about to do right now. Now, as you may remember, y'all, Fani Willis she's under scrutiny by her own people in Georgia who would like to talk to her about the relationship she had with Nathan Wade while she pursued Donald Trump. Nathan Wade being a special prosecutor that she hired and paid out of the public coffers while at the same time getting it on with him behind the scenes. And so now people in the United States Congress, particularly Representative Jim Jordan, he'd also like to have a word with Fani Willis and people from her office, basically around the same kind of thing. He would like to know about their investigation into Donald Trump. Now, just yesterday, I said, Fani has been laying low, y'all. Maybe she can just lay low, let it blow over. I thought she was laying low. I haven't seen anybody else talking about this, y'all. This is from the New York Times. This is the letter that Fani wrote back to Representative. This is United States Congressman Jim Jordan. Y'all, I thought Fani was going to take the path of, let me just play nice, but let's read through this letter, y'all. We're going to read through the whole letter. It's not that long. I'm just going to get right into it, and we'll see what Fani said to Representative Jim Jordan.
If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and share. Thank you, guys. Like, share, and comment.
Dear Mr. Jordan, yet again, I am writing you in my official capacity as District Attorney of Fulton County and on behalf of my office regarding requests made by the House Judiciary Committee to several Fulton County employees asking for documents and testimony related to their work for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Over the course of several years now, I have explained to you that the core of your requests, information about an active criminal investigation, threatens the integrity of an ongoing criminal matter, ignores centuries of precedent about the limits of congressional power, and tramples over foundational principles of state sovereignty and federalism. Let us speak plainly, Mr. Jordan. Your so-called, quote, investigation, end quote, into the office's contacts with the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol has never been anything more than a dangerous attempt performed at the behest of those under investigation to obstruct our office from an ongoing criminal prosecution and investigations. The case this office brought was after months of careful deliberation and investigation by my office and 2 grand juries impaneled under Georgia law. The federal government has no right to obstruct state and local investigations and prosecutions because you want to appease defendants whom a grand jury has found probable cause to indict by interfering in their ongoing prosecution. With regard to the document requests, you have asked FCDA employees to produce documents to you that the office and I have already explained that we cannot disclose because we must avoid any actions that could potentially compromise an ongoing investigation and prosecution by this office. As I wrote to you a few weeks ago, the communications you are seeking, to the extent they exist, are directly related to Fulton County's ongoing investigation of several individuals pursuant to Georgia criminal statutes. These individuals were properly investigated and indicted by a grand jury consistent with Georgia criminal procedure. Prosecution of these charges is ongoing. Your requests also exceed the limits of congressional authority and violate core constitutional principles of separation of powers, state sovereignty, and federalism as set forth in my prior letters. At its core, you seek documents and information revealing how attorneys in my office conducted an investigation that ultimately led to a grand jury indictment.
Dang.
Any such documents are protected from disclosure by attorney-client privilege, work product privilege, and other common law protections. As I have already noted in a prior letter to you, the preservation of the secrecy of grand jury proceedings is a well-recognized principle in Georgia, as well as in the federal legal system. Moreover, requests for documents regarding my office's preparation for grand jury proceedings cut to the core of the deliberative process privilege, which generally protects pre-decisional documents generated by government agencies as they seek to advance their missions. FCDA employees are not permitted to waive privilege over information that they obtained as part of their work for FCDA. Accordingly, I have instructed FCDA staff not to provide your committee with any documents that remain in the custody of the office to which the office and I have already asserted privilege and have determined that we cannot produce. Furthermore, as the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, you do not need to ask attorneys in Georgia to obtain potential communications with other congressional committees. The records of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol remain with the House of Representatives and within the House's access and control. Members of the Select Committee are your colleagues, and some still work in the same building as you. But instead, you have chosen to focus a multi-year inquiry on the actions of our office. Your only goal is to stop the pursuit of criminal justice by our office by targeting our employees, honorable public servants, and heroic Americans who, like me, should be like I, who, like me, have put themselves at risk to defend our democracy.
Why is she wearing a wedding ring? Why is Fanny wearing a wedding ring? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Y'all single women be wearing these wedding rings, and y'all know y'all not married. Stop doing that. That's insane. Misleading.
Now, at the pinnacle of power, you are harassing them with frivolous requests instead of using your position to better our communities. It also bears mention that your latest request also makes clear that you were never interested in obtaining information about the FCDA's use of federal funds, as you have previously asserted. That line of inquiry was nothing more than a smokescreen designed to harass this office and distract from our focus on our core prosecutorial duties. Were you truly interested in ferreting out prosecutorial misconduct and corruption, you would stop wasting taxpayer money on your baseless pursuit of my office and instead turn your attention to the Trump administration's Justice Department. Just last week, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Danielle Sassoon, received a corrupt quid pro quo involving acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, who ordered the SDNY to dismiss charges without prejudice against New York City's mayor. As you are no doubt aware, Ms. Sassoon, along with at least 6 other senior-level Justice Department officials, resigned rather than carry out the unlawful order. Where's your outrage about this perversion of justice? For my entire tenure as District Attorney of Fulton County, I have sought to honor my oath to the people of Georgia and to defend our shared multiracial democracy, which emerged after centuries of racist violence and systemic oppression of Black, Brown, and Native peoples, women, religious minorities, LGBTQ plus people, and many others. Come what may, I will not stop defending my vision of a diverse, equitable, and inclusive society governed not by tyrants, but by rule of law. Accordingly, I have told my staff that they are allowed to speak with you voluntarily about matters that are not covered by privileges held by the office. Consistent with our direction to Attorney Nathan Wade, whom you have already interviewed, the FCDA will not waive any applicable legal protections or privileges about information relating to its work on ongoing criminal matters, including our effort to hold individuals accountable for their role in an attempted coup. Sir, in closing, let me suggest you review the oath you swore to as a member of Congress, as required of you by Article 6 of the Constitution. That oath requires you to, quote, support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and, quote, bear true faith and allegiance to that Constitution. You are confused. Do you understand your oath, responsibilities, and duties? That oath is not to those who commit crimes while abusing their power by seeking to undermine the very Constitution you are sworn to defend. Rather than honor and uphold the oath you took, you have chosen to expend your time attempting to bully me, which is a complete waste of your time. Might I suggest that instead of attempting to disrupt this office's work protecting the people,
do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, you complied immediately, by the way, that's good. But I understand Maine, is the Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Roy Brown, no.
Are you
Man.
not going to comply with it? We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't.
You're not going to get any money.
Even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Boy. So we got to talk about some pretty shocking but not so shocking news out of the Maine Senate race, as sitting governor Janet Mills has dropped out.
Right, no kings, but they was happy for King Charles, Antonio. They was happy like seals clapping for King Charles when he came to the White House. Amazing.
Of the race, okay? She's saying that she's given up. She's waving the white flag. She can't raise money. Her campaign's going broke, and she's getting absolutely dominated by the socialist, alleged Nazi Graham Plattner. And I want to talk about it because this is a big shakeup. Even though Graham Plattner was projected to win, the fact that she is dropping out means almost certainly that he is going to be the Democrat candidate for Senate out in Maine. And this is a big deal because we have a full-blown radical left lunatic on the ballot versus a Republican, and that's why people need to be aware of this, and people got to get out and vote in order to prevent this left-wing lunatic from taking office. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Good morning. We thank you for joining us. We are interrupting your regularly scheduled programming for some major breaking news in Commitment 2026. We're just learning moments ago, Governor Mills announcing that she is suspending her campaign for U.S. Senate after campaigning for the last 6 months.
Yeah, and she's citing financial resources here. She says she had the drive and the compassion and the commitment.
Right, only person who was selected was Kamala. You know?
And the experience, she says, to continue on.
Then the same thing happened to Bernie Sanders. They brought Bernie Sanders out and propped up Hillary Clinton. Didn't they go that same way? And look how that turned out.
But she doesn't have what political campaigns require, the financial resources. That's why she's saying she made the difficult decision to suspend her campaign. This is new to our newsroom, too. We have not yet heard anything from any other campaign regarding her dropout, but just getting into this into our newsroom in the last 2 minutes.
That's right. Yeah, we're just learning about this. We are reaching out in real time right now to the Graham Plattner campaign, as well as the Susan Collins campaign, for comment on this. This was not an announcement, at least that most political observers were anticipating would come today. These two had not met on a debate stage. The governor, of course, was actively campaigning. She was holding a series of events at different locations and speaking with voters. It comes after, as well, recent polls. There were at least a few of them which showed that Graham Plattner, the political newcomer here in Maine, that he was generating more support, at least according to those polls, than the governor was.
Right,
Yeah,
Bernie won, right?
Into our newsroom too. The governor basically just expressing a lot of gratitude for Maine. She said in her campaign she recently traveled all the way to the north of the state, met to Madawaska, down to York, across the state, saying that she is extremely grateful to the people of Maine, saying, I love you.
Right. Pelosi, 40 years, Chuck 35, Biden 50.
Fight for you relentlessly as governor. And for the next 8 months, she'll work hard to stand up for what's right and defend the Constitution and preserve our democracy. So again, if you are just joining us, we are bringing you breaking news that Governor Janet Mills has dropped out of the race for U.S. Senate seat. She was scheduled to have a debate here with us next week with Graham Plattner and the other candidates for Senate too. So obviously she will not face him on a debate stage.
Yeah, Graham Plattner.
Wow, she was getting beat so bad that she didn't even want to do a debate. She didn't even want to get on the debate stage. Her campaign was so broke. This is embarrassing. But this is the full-blown takeover of the Democrat Party by the far left. That's what this is. Yes.
Damn.
Janet Mills, who's also ultra woke, by the way, right? She's super woke.
Welcome, Governor Mills.
Right. Bye, Felicia. That's nice. They don't want you there, though. Boo! Get out of there. Get off the stage.
Yeah, we can kiki and ha-ha about that, right? It is funny, right? It's absolutely hilarious that she is very disliked, okay? However, the fact is that a socialist being the candidate is even more dangerous than somebody like her, right? It's far more dangerous. And
get out of here.
Realize, okay, that, hey, the Democrats have become so radical that they're kicking out the establishment Democrats, even the ones that's woke. It's not enough to just be woke. You have to be full-blown, far-left, communist, right, and woke on top of that, and Trump range in order to win a Democrat primary. This is the radical takeover of the Democrat Party happening in real time, right? This is a major blow to the Democrat establishment. Best believe they're not happy about this at all, okay? This is a major warning sign to them that the socialists are taking over the party, right? The fact that this woman dropped out before the debate, she didn't even give herself a chance to get on the debate stage, right? It was like, nah, I'm good. That's how bad her campaign was. That's how much socialists have a control of the Democrat Party at this point.
Governor has been holding events in many corners of the state, and through his reporting and our coverage of events like these, he has been drawing significant crowds to events like that. Governor Mills has had more controlled environments, more intimate settings with her supporters in the process of this campaign. She was viewed by many as the more establishment candidate. She was recruited to run and had the support of Senate leaders like Chuck Schumer, as Graham Plattner has not receive that same establishment Washington, D.C. support. That at least that's the way that a lot of political insiders perceive it.
And as Terry said, we have reached out to Graham Plattner's campaign. We are currently reaching out to Senator Susan Collins' campaign.
Antonio, your TDS is very strong, bro. On the real. What was your energy when Biden was doing all this monkey ball bullshit? Don't come in here with this bullshit against Trump.
As well. For reaction to this news, we will be sure to join you on air and online.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, just to remember who Graham Plattner is here, right? He's one of these socialists that presents himself as an everyday white man, right? That's the new Democrat trick, right? They're going to start throwing these everyday looking white men at voters and say, look, we don't hate whites, right? Vote for us, okay? That's the new trick here. This is what they're running, okay? And I just want people to understand what the move is.
Happy birthday, Brian. Happy birthday. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, Brian.
Right? Terrible for this country. So without further ado, let's get into this interview here that this guy is doing with Mehdi Hassan, who's going to confront him about his Nazi tattoo.
Especially your online comments from the past. And since you said you're comfortable explaining yourself, let's talk very plainly about some of this stuff, because I know you've spoken about this before, but it's the first time you and I are speaking about any of this. The biggest single controversy of your campaign, which is not going to go away if Susan Collins has her way, is a tattoo you got in 2007 that you since had covered up of a skull and crossbones that resembles a very infamous Nazi symbol. You said you had no idea about the connection, saying, quote, I absolutely would not have gone through life having this on my chest if I knew that. When exactly did you find out that the tattoo on your chest could be a Nazi tattoo or seen as one?
All right, Mark. And also, all our voters were alive. Nobody voted. Everybody who voted for Trump wasn't dead. They was alive.
So about 3 or 4 days before I had it covered up. I got that tattoo with some other Marines when we were on shore leave in Croatia in 2007. And then I had it for 17 years. I went through 2 security clearances. I re-enlisted in the United States Army, got screened for gang and hate tattoos, and then I went to work for the State Department on the ambassador security team in Compton.
You guys keep on talking January 6th. January 6th should never have happened, but we all know it was plants in there. Nancy Pelosi people should have did better, but Nancy backed them off. And not only just that, the right wing, when it comes to January 6th, when it comes to January 6th, it should never happen. That's one incident you guys can put on as far as right wingers and also call us MAGAs. But you left wing people have been killing people left and right. Y'all been killing people left and right. Y'all take these hormone blockers and y'all go stupid and go out there and kill people. That's crazy as hell. Y'all came up on January 6th, but you guys out here killing everybody. The left is. You want to take our guns away, but you want to take the guns and y'all killing people. Us with the rights, we use our guns for hunting and protecting our family and making sure the government don't overthrow or try to take us away, you know? That's crazy, man. Y'all came up on January 6th. Fuck January 6th. They went to jail. They got out. They did their time. Let it go.
Where I got a top secret clearance and also got screened. Never came up. I took my shirt off in front of my extended Jewish family the entire time. I would not have done that if I thought I had some obviously recognizable white supremacist or Nazi symbol.
So Graham, why then, and that all sounds perfectly reasonable, especially the security checks. So why then did a former top official on your campaign, Genevieve McDonald, your former political director, tell The Guardian last year, while he may not have known what his tattoo meant when he selected the image, it's not plausible he remained ignorant of its meaning all these years?
I don't know why she said that. She was only on the campaign for a little over a month and would not have known.
Right, Brad. It was federal agents in the crowd as well.
She quit in rather spectacular fashion and then spent some time just saying deprecating things about the campaign and about myself.
What she's saying is that it doesn't make sense. Your explanation doesn't make sense, right? You got a tattoo that was recognized by the world as a Nazi tattoo when it came out, but for some reason he didn't recognize it, right? He didn't know. Yeah,
that's right. Ray Epps, he was the one inciting us to go to the Capitol. Yeah, come on, you guys. Do your research, chat. Ray Epps. Yep. Start with that.
I think he got it, right? Years and years and years, he did know that, hey, this is associated with Nazis, right? He didn't know until he needed to cover it up, right? Until the story came out, it became a political story because he decided to run for Congress. And now all of a sudden he figured out, oh, wait, this is a Nazi tattoo? I didn't know that. Let me cover this up right now. That's what she's questioning. She's questioning your honesty about this, right? Because, the leftists are not supposed to be in bed with Nazis. They're supposed to be fighting Nazis. But apparently they're willing to get in bed with them if they are socialists, right? And I want people to understand what these people actually believe. They claim they are fighting for democracy.
Hey, y'all, here we go. Antonio on Monkey Ball. He said he told him to go down there and storm the Capitol. Yeah, we know you definitely a left wing. You voted for Kamala. You did no research, Antonio. I can play the whole video of him saying everything that you saying he didn't say. The man said go over there peacefully. But I can show you the video, Antonio, and you would be like, no, it's still
that they're fighting against authoritarianism, fascism, etc. But that's not the truth. What they're actually fighting for is socialism, is Marxism. They don't care about anything else. They love dictators. They love authoritarians. This is why they're boo-hoo whining crying about Nicolas Maduro. They love guys like that, right? They love Cuba, right? They love that stuff as long as it aligns with their ideology. So they don't care about whether it's a democracy, a monarchy, authoritarian, dictatorship. They don't care about the form of government as long as they adhere to Marxist, socialist, communist principles. That's the only thing they care about. That's why they are running with this guy, right? Despite the fact that, typically somebody like him would be disqualified, right, to run, especially in the Democrat Party. No, they have to stick with it anyways because that's who the voters want. And the voters don't care, right? They don't care about all of this stuff that he has going on because all they care about is Marxism, right? That's all they care about. He's a Marxist just like them, so they can overlook all that stuff. But again, if it was a Republican with a Nazi tattoo that is allegedly saying all the things this guy said, then
no problem, Mark. Let's have some fun.
Lose their minds, right? They be talking about how Republicans are straight up promoting Nazis, right? Pushing Nazis. But with this guy, nah, you gotta let it fly though, right? Let it fly, because he's a socialist.
Why did CNN report that they spoke to an acquaintance of yours from more than a decade ago who said you talked to him about your tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol?
Thanks.
Well, I believe they actually reported on a Jewish insider investigation, which had spoken to one anonymous person who, when they claimed they knew me, it was years. They said they knew me from when I worked at a bar, from years I didn't even work at that bar.
Okay.
And
so you're denying that allegation, just to be clear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It also came out.
Come on, Wolf, man. Really? So, Trump is a billionaire. Why he got to steal? And Trump been the president, not even taking the presidential money. And Trump lost money, is losing money as he been the president. So what you talking about? He's stealing.
Just on the bigger picture, I can understand what you're saying, and I'm hearing your denials and the point about your extended Jewish family. It makes sense.
Yeah, he's still wearing his mask in the car by himself.
People are giving you a lot of leeway because they like your policy platform. But surely you would admit, if you were a Republican who had been found with that tattoo on your chest, right, people, progressives, Democrats, would be losing their mind, wouldn't they not?
Right.
Well, I think if I had that tattoo.
So far, my channel okay so far.
Point in my life.
So far, it's okay. No lags. Nobody not saying anything lagging. Subscribe.
Racism. Then that would absolutely be something to connect. Thing is, and all of my Reddit posts, if you read through them, they've been out there since October, every single one of them. It's fairly clear that I have been long an opponent of fascism, bigotry, and racism. Sometimes with language that people say is too extreme, even though, I don't know, fighting fascism seems like something we should all be dedicated to.
On the language front, though, this has caught up with you now. We talked a moment ago about how popular you've become because you speak like a normal person, but that comes with its own challenges in the political world, which is you've used the word retarded, which I saw you apologize for this week. You've made comments about women that both Janet Mills and Susan Collins have attacked you for. There's the tattoo. Do you at least accept that going into the general election, this is going to be an issue for you because the Republican Party are not going to let this slide. They're going to use this against you. You know the word baggage. Do you at least accept that from a perceptual point of view, regardless of your individual justifications for all of it, do you accept politically it is a big challenge for you going into the general election with all of this quote-unquote baggage?
I will say I don't really think so, because in my experience thus far going around Maine, a lot of people look at that and say, like, okay, so he's a guy that never wanted to run for office. He's not of the system at all, and he very clearly just comes from the normal world and has existed in the normal world, coming with all of the things that come with that. I mean,
like Nazi tattoos, right? This guy is basically saying, look, it's normal for people like myself to have Nazi tattoos, and, you know, voters just believe that that's just a normal thing. Well, he just never wanted to run for politics. This is why he got a Nazi tattoo.
Wolfman, I guess I got up under your skin by calling you an idiot. I'm glad you're in the chat, like and subscribe, but I'm very far from being an idiot. He said it, and it's also facts. It's been proven that he has not taken a paycheck of being the president.
No, let's just call it what it is. These people are hypocrites, right? It's not that they think you're a normal person. They don't care about that. What they care about is the fact that you're a socialist. You're a Marxist. You agree with their worldview, right? And they will basically overlook anything. They will overlook anything as long as you are a far-left Marxist, right? As long as you believe what they believe, they don't care about any of that stuff. That is what's going on here, right? Let's be real, okay? So I hope people understand the gist of what we're dealing with here. Guys like this should be nowhere near office. Democrats are doing this thing where, you know, they're running the James Tallaricos, the Graham Plattners, right? They're putting these figures out in front of folks in order to trick people into signing up for Marxism, right? Because best believe, this guy believes in open borders, right? He believes in DEI, right? He believes in all the things that most of these far-left Democrats, including the cultural Marxists, believe in, okay? Don't let his looks fool you, right? He is worse than Janet Mills, and this is why, even though Susan Collins is not my favorite, right? At the end of the day, she is a Republican, and it's better to have a Republican in that seat than a socialist. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know, that helps us out a ton. And, of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, the mayor of Baltimore City is locked in a battle with the city's Inspector General, Isabel Cumming, y'all. This is a battle about whether or not she gets certain records relating to programs that she believes not only were misadministered, but that also may have involved fraud, y'all. Now, we've been covering this story going on for the past several weeks, if not months, but now the Baltimore City Council has taken up the story, and they're putting some more meat on the bones, and they're saying, it looks like this was poorly administered, y'all. There was fraud. You know, I've been hearing fraud nationwide. There was fraud involved, and now there are even criminal referrals, y'all, criminal investigations. So we're going to take a look at the proof that the Baltimore City Council considered this week, and we're going to speculate what might happen next, y'all. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
It is our job as oversight of everyone. The law department.
Thank you.
Everyone. I mean, this office was established to be the watchdog for the citizens.
Baltimore Inspector General Isabel Cumming has pleaded for access to records after she says the law department abruptly cut off what documents she could get last January. You can see much of the information blacked out. It started when Cumming was looking into a program under the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement.
The OIG did receive hundreds of unredacted invoice documents from Monzi, but any redactions that are made limits an investigation and its impact. The OIG's review found 2 organizations received payments for fraudulent invoices submitted to Monzi. This matter has been referred to law enforcement for criminal prosecution. At this time, we are unable to discuss further, as that could interfere with any ongoing criminal investigations.
So as you can see there, for some reason, the mayor's office turned over documents that were redacted. Now, they They also turned over unredacted documents, but so why should some be unredacted, right? Unredacted where you can read everything and you can see exactly what happened. And then some are redacted, they're blacked out, y'all. And according to Isabel Cumming, those redacted documents included payouts, again, even to the extent where she has said, hey, looks like some fraud has happened here, and referred the fraud over for investigation, y'all. So that's not good.
At a hearing Friday, the city's law department slammed Cumming for hiring her own attorneys and tried to seal documents in the case WJZ investigates already obtained, including support from former city solicitors for Cummings' subpoena power and independence. Cummings' attorney says her office has to operate with independence because otherwise it's just an arm of the state.
Monty paid an evaluation consultant $24,999 to complete an assessment of the program. The evaluator's assessment found a lack of case plans for youth, available data, and follow-up activities. The evaluator claimed the most impactful data deficit was that Monty did not provide the evaluator with access to the participating youth who the program was designed to serve and their parents. This access was not provided even though the evaluator's contracted scope of work included surveying participants and their family for feedback on the program. The evaluator determined Monty was not in compliance with its own process for tracking youth activities. Additionally, Monty had one employee dedicated to Sidestep, a decision which the evaluator determined sets up the program and its sole staff person for failure.
So hold on, y'all. They paid an evaluation consultant $24,000. Like, hey, evaluate this program. And then once the evaluation consultant says, yeah, this program is not, it doesn't look like it's set up properly, they said, thank you, be out. Didn't even give the evaluation consultant all the information needed to complete the full evaluation in the first place. But even with the limited information, the evaluation consultant was able to say, something's wrong here. Like, yeah, all right, thank you for your services. Please see the exit. So no wonder now that this is in court, no wonder that the judge has said, because see, Baltimore, they were trying to stop the lawsuit being, hey, give us the records, right? So the inspector general sued. She's like, give me the records. Baltimore sued back to say, judge, don't let her sue, okay? So the first court case was whether or not she could sue. And the judge was like, of course she can sue. What are you talking about? Y'all are, what are we doing here? And now the lawsuit about whether she gets the records or not is going to go forward.
Here's what the mayor had to say.
We will follow the laws of the land, and that's what the solicitor will be talking about in court today.
At that hearing, the assistant solicitor blasted Cumming for what she called a power play and said what she can't do is invent powers that don't exist, and claims Cumming needed the mayor's permission to hire lawyers. But Judge Pamela J. White fired back that the city's law department crushed Cummings' power to get documents and made decisions that have cut off and shut down the inspector general's ability to do her investigative responsibilities without being blocked or second-guessed. She allowed Cummings' lawsuit to continue.
Well, here's the deal. I look at the two things. Number one, I'm glad she took the post down. I do not think that at the level where Inspector General Isabel Cummings is and the mayor is, that her reposting that is necessary. I think that is just something that she shouldn't do. That she's a friend. She's a great friend of the show. Love Isabel Cummings to death. I'm glad she took that down and has removed that. Number two, there's no secret that these outrages come from the mayor's office after last Friday, right? We didn't get into it, I don't think, deep enough, where the judge from the bench told the city solicitor and city government that they basically have caused Isabel Cummings' office not to be able to be effective with what they're doing, and allowed the case to move forward because the city was trying to get the case thrown out on Friday in front of this judge. And the judge said, no. He said, what you're doing by hamstringing the inspector general is causing her not to do her job. Now, she didn't rule on the case. What she said was the case can go forward with the attorneys representing Isabel Cummings. But I'm just saying the timing of this outrage from the mayor's office goes right with this decision that came out on Friday from the judge to allow the case to go forward, right, in the whole thing. All right, so
oh, yeah, y'all, icing on the cake. You want a little bit of icing with that cake? Would you like your cake with icing? Or how about ice cream? What about icing and ice cream, y'all? Oh, yeah, there was a data breach. Fraud, lack of reporting, lack of accountability, lack of metrics. Oh, yeah, and a data breach where people's personal information was stolen. Let's not forget that part.
The OIG also found a data breach occurred. A Monty employee sent post-arrest information for over 700 people, many of which were juveniles, to a personal Google account that belonged to a relative. The diversion table contained names, dates of birth, and specific arrest charges. Monty was not aware of the exposure until the OIG report, which underscores the importance for the OIG to have direct access to records.
So yeah, y'all, the Baltimore City Council came out with this just this week. They are bringing all of the receipts, y'all. And the mayor, for some reason, seems to be trying to cover this up, but it's all coming to light now. Maybe from his side, maybe from his point of view, the mayor would say, look, man, I'm not trying to cover up anything. I'm just following the law. The law tells me not to give the inspector general this information, so I'm not going to give it to the inspector general. Maybe I think that's what he's saying. Okay, so represent that side.
Beautiful
as well.
Bill, good morning.
Other people think, you're just trying to cover it up. I guess we will all see as this court case unfolds, because of course the court has ruled that the court case can continue. So let me know what y'all think. Do you think are there any dirty deeds that happened here, or do you think much ado about nothing? The mayor in the mayor's office.
I'm interested in what New Yorkers have to say about our policies, and 93% approve. This is a tax that will raise $500 million every year.
So, you heard it right there. New Yorkers are totally on board with voting for other people's money. And while America reacted with shock to New York's radical new plan to punish property owners on tax day, the mayor says this will help make the city more affordable and expand access to housing, even though, as you're about to see, this is just another ban on private property designed to impoverish us all.
New York City real estate brokers blasting Governor Kathy Hochul for her new proposed tax in the Big Apple, which will put an annual surcharge on homes serving as a second property. City Mayor Zohran Mamdani couldn't be happier about it. Watch.
It will raise money to fund essential city services like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. I've made it clear to the public that I am deeply supportive of taxing the rich.
Those who benefit from the city without living in a full-time capacity should contribute to the costs that it takes to run the city.
So you've got someone who spends $5 million or more, does not really use the place, but still pays maintenance, so supporting employees in the building, and property tax, but doesn't put any burden on the city's services whatsoever. How stupid a tax is this?
They're going to take their money someplace else, and that means some carpenter's not going to get a job, some plumber's not going to get a job, the restaurants in the neighborhood are going to lose business.
If those people reach the oh crap level or whatever, what happens? The exodus will keep going on. And we don't want the exodus to go on. Wait a second.
So while the mayor talks about increasing fees to fund things that are going to make life affordable, look at these free grocery stores. Ain't nothing affordable about this. And what nobody's talking about is if the government's goal is to take more and more of other people's money, it's them who are causing the unaffordability crisis in places like New York. And that's what's happening here again with this new tax on million-dollar homes. Now, sure, to average folk like me and you, somebody worth hundreds of millions or even billions can spare a few extra bucks, sure, but that's not the point, because it's not just the rich who are about to pay a price for communism here. Once you start punishing an industry, no matter what industry it is, there are a lot of people affected. Who do you think builds and maintains those luxury homes? You think that's a bunch of rich people too? Those are regular New Yorkers. And while everybody in this city seems to think taxing people who make more than they do is a great plan, what they don't understand is that if you start punishing people, nobody's going to buy real estate. And if people stop buying, people stop building, people stop eating out at restaurants, and there go the jobs. And the real reason this is going to be another blue state unaffordability nightmare initiative is because every time you jack up taxes on anything, you decrease opportunity, because it's the government that's taking its cut of what people use to provide for themselves. And at the exact same time, we're told that having an unoccupied home decreases access to housing for average people, which is 100% true, but there's a problem. These $200 million penthouse apartments were never intended to be sold to people who didn't have $200 million. Meanwhile, the city of New York sits on 6,000 vacant vacant apartments right now in its own public housing complexes and regulates many more out of existence completely, which could be relatively affordable places if the landlords were allowed to charge rent that would balance out the cost of renovating them. And the dirty little secret about all of this affordability talk is that while the city here says that's what it wants, as you're about to see, this is completely the opposite of what it is subjecting all of us to.
No lights here, mother. To the living room. This is the kitchen.
So there you have a government-regulated New York City apartment, which is inside a building somebody else owns. And guess what? It has a legal rent capped at under $1,000 a month. Yet it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair, which means nobody's ever going to be able to live in this place because nobody can afford to fix it because nobody wants to throw away $100,000. But those are our laws, and the same people championing new laws think every single empty apartment is such a horrible thing that people should be punished for it. Watch this.
This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich. Those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end.
But notice how the mayor did not say how this is going to hurt working New Yorkers. Working New Yorkers are the ones who are going to suffer because they can't renovate and build apartments that people want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on. And they're also suffering because they can't renovate apartments that somebody who comes here and wants to pay rent for like a one-bedroom would be able to live in. Everybody who works and is trying to make it in the city legally is losing on both the high end and the low end. But as you're about to see, it gets worse.
Is interesting. Let's ask ourselves without the rhetoric and the politics, does this make sense? So you've got someone who spends $5 million or more, does not really use the place, but still pays maintenance, so supporting employees in the building and property tax, but doesn't put any burden on the city's services whatsoever. How stupid a tax is this? Because you would want more people doing this.
Right. So the same people who we're told contribute nothing to New York actually contribute millions of dollars a year, and they do it while not standing in line for the soon-to-arrive city-run grocery stores. Aren't those the residents you want? You can tax them and punish them. You already are. And they don't even live here to get any of the money back. They don't even ride the bus. But then this is what real unaffordability looks like. You have a perfectly good apartment right here. Does it need work? Yes. But no one can be paid to go in here and remove the trash. That costs more than this place is going to earn. So it stays like this. And don't even get me started on trying to get people in here to fix the place after you remove all of the garbage. We're looking at a place that's got 2 bedrooms, could be used for a family, but nobody's going to use this place. Apparently the tenant was here for 40 years, but New York's laws that we have today mean for the next 40 years, it's going to sit in this same state. This is sad. This is communist unaffordability right here because it's all based on the idea that whoever owns this place is making too much money and they need to be punished just like whoever owns a $200 million penthouse. Never mind all these people pay property taxes. Never mind all of these people employ others. Nope, that's not good enough.
Those who benefit from the city without living in a full-time capacity should contribute to the costs that it takes.
Hey, I'm so proud of you, Home. You're going hard, man. This message is for you, Donald Trump. Hey, I'm so proud of you, Home. You're going hard, man. Keep going hard for the American people. We appreciate what you're doing. Everybody know they're giving you a rough time, but hey, you keep fighting for us, and we appreciate that, man. This is the first time that I ever really paid attention to what's going on in the White House, and I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. I never thought that the president actually could make stuff happen. I thought it was people around him that had to make the stuff happen, but I see the president can make stuff happen, and I see why they didn't want you to be the president, because you speak for the American people, because you show leadership. You show leadership through action. You don't bow down to nobody. You let people know why America is great. And that's how it's supposed to be. They said the tariffs wasn't going to work. Guess what? It's working. You're doing everything, and it's working. And they're mad about it. So keep up the great work. Hey, I love you, Unc, man. Look, I appreciate it. Just keep going hard for us. All right, Unc. Have a great day. All right, MAGA. Stay up.
MAGA.
To run the city.
And now they have to pay even more. This is going to take what's left of the city's economy and ship that out of state. Just you wait.
But Mayor Mamdani called it a tax.
This is a tax on properties worth more than $5 million that are owned by people who do not reside in New York City.
Both leaders supporting the new pied-à-terre tax. That's the French term for foot on the ground.
They check to make sure who I am. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting. See, this is where my righteous anger pop up, because I know what he's saying is a lie. I live in the South. I've been living in the South my whole life on the Gulf Coast. I go to vote every single time there's an election. And guess what? I show my ID. I write my signature. They check to make sure who I am. I go vote. No problems. Nobody asking me any questions. Nobody making me count the jelly beans in the jar. And quit lumping us in the people of color category. We're Black Americans, and we are citizens, and nobody is taking away our right to vote. What they are doing is they are using Black people, going back in the past, provoking emotional manipulation, because they know if they say Jim Crow or slavery, Black people are going to be like, oh my God, he's right. They're coming against us. This has nothing to do with you, Black people. Wake up. People of color he talking about is illegal migrants. They don't have IDs. That's their new voting base. But letting these people use you. I've been having an ID since I was 15 years old. I'm 50 years old. Every Black person I know has an ID. You need an ID to drive. You need an ID to go into a club. You need an ID to fly on a plane. You need an ID to go into another country. You need an ID to buy liquor. You need an ID to buy cigarettes. I don't know any Black person without an ID. Even the poorest of the poor Black people have an ID. JJ down the street that dig in the trash can that I pass by, and he always bothering me about a little bit of money. And when I feel it a little giving, I give him $5. Guess what he do? He goes straight into the liquor store and go buy him some liquor. But before he do, he present his ID. So even the homeless man got an ID. Black people, y'all can keep letting these liberals play in y'all face, but Malcolm X warned y'all about these people. They're using you. This is about getting illegal migrants to vote. They don't have an ID, so they don't want any questions whenever they walk in there. They are the Democratic Party new voting base. They are the new slave. For instance, if you change, you're a woman who got married and changed your last name, you won't be able to show ID and you'll be discriminated against. If you can't find a birth certificate or a proper ID, you'll be discriminated against. Well, first of all, that's a lie. I've been married twice. Don't judge me. Divorced and then he died. Now I'm remarried. Now let's get back to it. Both times I presented my birth certificate and photo ID. And then I got a marriage license. I got married. And then if I tarried on getting my name changed, guess what? If I went to vote and I didn't have the right name, all I have to do is bring my marriage license. And we know we got a birth certificate. You know why? Because I needed it to get my marriage license, dummy. Or if you didn't need it, you had to have some type of ID in order to get the marriage license. So you bring both. You bring both. And they check it, and they see that the marriage license is your name change. That is just if you just got married at the time of an election. Most of us women, we get married and we handle the business. We go ahead and get that new social security card and that new driver's license. Black America, I'm gonna need you to wake up. Did you hear what I said? Black
America typically means a place you own but don't live, impacting 13,000 homes in New York City, valued at $5 million and above.
Okay, so the reason to tax these 13,000 homes is because we have a housing crisis and no one lives in them. That's the justification. Never mind that these are homes that were not built to solve a housing crisis. These are luxury assets that were legally built by people who had real jobs and got paid good money to construct something that somebody who had more money than you or I will ever see in our lifetimes was going to come along and buy. Unoccupying these places, freeing them up,
isn't going to solve our housing crisis, but you know what would? How about we kick the squatters out of the public housing units we have in New York City? We've got hundreds of people living for free in public housing units, while the current wait list is closed to new applications from the general public, and it looks like there are 200,000 people who are trying to get a home in New York legally. Meanwhile, the city's sitting on 6,000 empty units in its public housing system right now, and it's regulating 10, 20,000 of these rent-regulated apartments out of existence because nobody can fix those either, and there's no accountability from the city on this.
New York City has roughly 2.3 million rental units. About 1 million of them are rent-regulated apartments. What do these apartments look like? Generally, they have been occupied for decades. Yeah. They usually have outdated plumbing and electrical. When the occupant moves out, they almost always need a gut renovation to modernize the apartment. It costs about $1,300 to $1,400 per apartment to pay for operating costs. So more than half of the apartments in older and stabilized buildings don't have rents that cover operating costs.
Oh, so it costs more to run the apartment than the rent, which is allowed to be charged. What a disaster of a situation. That's why we have a housing crisis in this city, because landlords are blocked from freeing these apartments up. And if you want to build a new apartment where one doesn't exist, good luck with that. There is so much environmental review, so much red tape. Nobody can build anything here. And that's because this city is already flirting with communism and socialism.
Right. Never voting Democrat again. I don't give a fuck. Forget that. I don't care. Especially all the BS that's going on. The party never switch. And yes, there's some racism in both parties. That's what it is. The same thing when it comes to cops, the same thing to going to church anywhere. There's racism everywhere, good and bad everywhere. But don't use that as an excuse to say you hate a certain party like MAGA. We love America, America first. Why not?
Landlords are already the enemy, and any solution to the housing crisis that would allow somebody who solves a problem to make money doing it is a problem for people who are voting for other people's money. They don't want that. They don't want another millionaire. They certainly don't want somebody to come along, rent something to somebody else, and make money doing it. And that's what this is all about.
More, I want to bring in American Real Estate Association co-founder Jason Haber. You know what, Jason? Let's talk about this, because Ken Griffin pays over $850,000 per year in real estate taxes alone every year, not to mention the $16 million that you pay on transfer and mansion taxes, because we have a flip tax, so we call it here in New York City.
Yeah, well, let's look at that building for a second. That building was built with good paying jobs, union jobs, construction jobs. If you impose the pied-à-terre taxes, you've disincentivized the market, you're going to lose those jobs. You're going to hurt the union workers, the construction workers of this city.
Why is
nobody thinking about that? Why does nobody seem to understand that if you're going to punish people who do things at any level, you're punishing that entire system. You're punishing the entire housing market. Where are these unionized workers who we're told we should all aspire to have more of? Where are they going to go get work if their jobs are shut down? That's what you're doing here. You're shutting down jobs. And they're talking about the owner of the penthouse that the mayor demonized in his tax day pitch to raise taxes. This guy pays almost $1 million a year in property taxes that all go to the city. And he doesn't even live here. He doesn't use any of that money. He doesn't get any of it back. Yet we're told these people pay nothing. We're told these people aren't part of our city. They have no right to anything that they own here. It's repulsive. It's wrong. It's contributing to unaffordability. This is literally what happens when you bite the hand that feeds.
Sadly, the mayor is destroying, all caps, New York. It has no chance. The U.S. Should not contribute to its failure. It's only going to get worse. Tax policies are so wrong. People are fleeing. They must change their ways and fast. History has proven this stuff doesn't work. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I know, it has.
Who by themselves is a real estate developer, first and foremost, and a New Yorker, Jason.
That's right. And listen, this tax, if you think this won't have an impact, let me tell you, we're already seeing an impact. On top of the many hats that I wear, I'm the president of a group called NIRAC. It's top performing agents here in New York City. My members are already reporting that buyers who are out there who are looking around the $5 million level, they're now looking less. They're now looking under $5 million. Now, why would they do that? Because the argument is, well, it's a small tax. But you know what? Unlike the mansion tax, It's a recurring tax. You buy an apartment in New York City for $5 million. The mansion tax is $112,000. Let's say this is an annual tax of around between $25,000 and $35,000. Guess what? After 5 years, you've more than doubled the mansion tax.
Wow. So there's no reason to buy New York City real estate anymore at these high price points if indeed this thing happens to pass, because every single year you got to pay the tax. Every single year. That means a place that's worth $5 million is going to get hammered, and something that's worth $4,900,000 is going to get away completely unscathed. After a year, one of them has lost more money than the other. Like, this is crazy. You're destroying property value. And then after all the property values here get destroyed, do you think your home that's worth less than $5 million is going to be safe? Think again. The sell-all taxes start out, they're only for the people at the top. They're not for you. Oh, no. And then when they don't work, or when they do work, regardless, they always get expanded.
Really have real questions for anybody who is trying to stand on, and I really have real questions for anybody who is trying to obfuscate or diminish what's actually going on here. And again, Scott, you keep saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
If that's true, it is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is,
you think after 10 years of public life, you wouldn't know it already?
No, I don't. No, that's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott,
10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Scott, it is an IQ test. I mean, for 10 years, we haven't heard any names. So you really think that no one's involved?
No, obviously. Larry Summers was involved. Stacey Plaskett was involved. There's all kinds of people involved.
You're suggesting that if someone was involved, we would know about it. They would be prosecuted. It would be done and dusted. The last 10 years, no one has been prosecuted for this. Is that a sign that nothing has happened?
No, absolutely not.
So then
my
why
question directly to him is, if you think after 10 years, 3 presidential campaigns, and Democrats unleashing holy hell on him, you wouldn't know about it?
That's
exactly what I'm saying.
Biden's DOJ did everything to bankrupt Trump, to put him in jail for 4 years. Don't you think that if there was any kernel of anything that they found troubling in those documents, we would know? They did everything else they could to weaponize the DOJ.
I don't believe
Why,
that.
if they had that smoking gun, would they have not released it?
Because there was outstanding appeals on Ghislaine Maxwell's case that resolved.
I wish they got it.
They always come down, and then everybody ends up paying for it. Everybody pays property taxes in this city now. Everybody's got an income tax in this country now. This is where it's headed. This is a slippery slope, and we're on it, and we're sliding down it fast.
A real tax burden on a recurring basis to buyers. And look, I'm a New York maximalist. I want everyone investing here, living here, enjoying this amazing city. But if you put up roadblocks and speed bumps in the purchase process, buyers at some point will go pencils down and will reconsider.
That means the values of real estate are going to go down in general.
That's
and one of the things about this mayor, he keeps talking about affordable housing. He ran on it. He wants to get all this new affordable housing built. But even President Trump in the past has noted that's not possible because of the strict regulations and the tax structure of New York City.
Right, you're not allowed.
Also, it's the regulations.
Yeah, well, we need to add supply in this city in a major way. And until we do that, we're going to have lots of problems.
Right, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to build more apartments in this city. We don't want to expand the housing supply. And the reason for that is because the government can't build anything. And if they can't build anything and come along and be the savior, if they're sitting on 6,000 empty apartments right now, they can't even build, how is the government going to come along and save the city? It can't. And it's certainly not going to let private industry do that. It's certainly not going to let a bunch of millionaires come in here and spend their money to build buildings that tank rents because new buildings add supply, which means that landlords that have buildings right now have to lower their prices because now there's better buildings that cost less. They don't believe in supply and demand. And this means our new mayor's got a big problem. He doesn't believe in market economics at all. He's now between a rock and a hard place. He keeps talking about affordability. Yet his only solution to affordability is to make life less affordable and to hurt people's jobs, to hurt the economy, which means affordability here is going to keep going in the wrong direction. In fact, it's only going to happen worse than it was before he got elected.
Well, the self-described Democratic Socialist mayor says he believes that socialism can, quote, flourish anywhere while reflecting on his first 100 days and his, obviously, the campaign promises. A lot of these have gone untouched. Here's what he hasn't been able to do. The pledge to freeze rent. rent, give the free buses out there. He's not getting any of this
Well,
done.
let's see. The Rent Guidelines Board is voting in June on the rent freeze for rent-stabilized apartments. That'll impact 1 million apartments, 2.5 million New Yorkers.
This is awesome.
Wow. So remember that lousy apartment we saw earlier that really needs a lot of help? Well, they're about to vote to freeze the rent for those apartments, which means even more places like that are just going to come off the market. Every single time somebody moves out of a place like that, it's going to be put in a dustbin somewhere, and it's just going to sit in its current state because nobody's going to be able to put up the money to renovate one of those places. It's going to take you 50 years to get your investment back, and that's just not something that people do. You got to understand that real estate's an investment at every price point, whether you're a landlord that's got an apartment that could be rented out to somebody like a 1-bedroom, a studio, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, whatever, or if you're buying something that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These are all investments. And if you take away the opportunity to work on those investments, there go all the jobs connected with that. If you get rid of these luxury apartments, what are you going to do for all the doormen, for all the superintendents, for all the people who maintain these places, all the plumbers, all the electricians that build them and keep them running? Those people now have less work, and it's the same thing with these rent-stabilized apartments. We're literally putting people out of work and taking housing off the market and taking away opportunity at a time when the city needs it most. If you want people to stay in New York, they'll do it, even if there are taxes, if you've got opportunities here that can't be found anywhere else in the entire country. But that's becoming less and less of a thing. There's now less opportunity than there is here in other parts of the country. And that's why you've got people that are leaving and that don't want to stay and that don't want to stick around for any of this. What do you think? I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make one point because I'm a strong believer in science and research, but it's my understanding that under the Trump administration, the agency has shed 20% of its staff, either wiped out or deeply slashed several programs, including the Office of Research.
As the Justice Department releases new photos showing women in a hotel room taking mirror selfies, weapons strapped. Democrats should be focused on this, but they're down the shore, sorting through James Cody.
The white men don't have to do anything to suppress black people, sweetheart. Black people are doing it all by themselves. Y'all love to try to blame the white man for everything. Let me just tell you, the white man ain't forcing you to go to the liquor store every weekend. The white man not forcing you to go to the club every weekend. The white man not forcing you to drink lean. He's not forcing you to pop Percocets. He's not forcing you to have all these illegitimate bastard-ass kids. The white man is not forcing you to do none of it. You are willingly participating in this mess of a life. So don't sit in my face and try to tell me what the white man is doing to you. They did it to them. We the product of what they did to them. Now it's up to us to change the way we think, change the way that we eat, change the way that we do things, change the places that we go to, change the people that we're procreating with. Change. But no, y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all want to hear some that's toxic. That's what y'all want to hear. Man.
Yeah. Every day you wake up, man, you get a chance and a choice. You get a chance and a choice. But the beautiful thing about America is you have that chance and you do get those choices. You have free will to do whatever it is that you want to do. And the sky's the limit in this nation. Unfortunately, you have a lot of people who are choosing. They're making a conscious decision to be ratchet, to live, in these neighborhoods and to push and perpetuate, these foolish acts of violence upon each other. I mean, it is crazy what's going on in a lot of these neighborhoods. Large majority of them are Democrat strongholds. They're the poorest. They're the, most crime-riddled. They're the least safest places in the country. Yet, you have Democrats out here telling us that everything is okay, crime is coming down, and just let these people do whatever it is that they gonna do. And it really makes you wonder. It makes you think, like, is this on purpose? Is this by design? Do they want these people in here doing this to each other? Do they want it? It just makes me think it. But I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was a story up in New York City. A young 15-year-old man lost his life. And, he got jumped on. I can't show the video, but I'm going to leave that link in the description box because I want you guys to see it for yourselves if you're interested. But I don't know if you guys heard about this story, but check this out.
Said, that's for you to decide. And the president went on to say that the president
Trump has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved that he met with Epstein. So I know there's a lot of curiosity about President Trump. I thought that was an interesting thing that President Clinton said. So I'll let the Democrats have the podium and they can answer your questions. But we'll come to President Clinton.
15-year-old boy who was killed last night at a park in Queens.
The shooting happened on a basketball court during a large fight. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate is live.
I'm here to tell you, that wasn't a fight. That was a beatdown. They jumped the band and he just stood there scared. I'm surprised he didn't try to jump out of there and run, but
I've been St. Albans, Queens with more. And Phil, it feels like we're hearing too many of these kinds of reports.
Shirley, too many of these reports that just keep happening over and over again. Cops have identified that 15-year-old victim as a Jaden Pierre. Jaden had his whole life ahead of
John Kennedy. He realized. Fox News alert. New evidence has just surfaced tying Dr. Anthony Fauci to the CIA's cover-up of COVID-19. Last week, a whistleblower claimed the CIA was paying people off to bury the lab leak theory. And now this, from the House committee investigating the pandemic origins. Quote, Dr. Fauci was escorted into Central Intelligence Agency, CIA headquarters, without a record of entry and participated in the analysis to influence the agency's review. The committee is now ordering HHS to hand over documents detailing all of Fauci's movements during the pandemic in and out of CIA-controlled sites.
him, but this was cut short at Roy Wilkins Park yesterday evening. As for the shooter, that person is still at large, and cops say that the person who pulled the trigger is seen on video running away from the scene. Let's get straight to some picture right now from yesterday at the scene. Cops say a large fight broke out around 6:15 last night with several kids on the court attacking that 15-year-old before a single shot was fired, striking the victim's upper chest. Pierre was taken to a local hospital but could not be saved. As young people scattered, playtime at the park came to a halt and detectives were left gathering evidence all night long from the court and playground. Longtime community advocate for peace, Erica Ford, reeling from this tragedy.
It is normally pretty safe, but somebody is bringing guns into our community and putting them in the hands of our children. Help build programming so these young people can have something to do after school.
They need a mindset change. It's not about the programs. Everybody, you hear all these, people that want these nonprofits out here, we need programs and this, that, and the third. No, they need a heart change. They need a mindset change. I'm going to keep it a buck, man. They need Jesus. We need the gospel preached to these young people all throughout these communities, man, because this behavior is not, it's not normal. It's not normal behavior for just sane individuals. It's not. But I want you guys to see this right here. Give me a second. Let me pull it up. I want you guys to see this stat here. Nothing from the NAACP. Crickets from the Urban League. Crickets from Black Lives Matter. Crickets from the SPLC. Since February 28, 2026, we had 67 people taken out unalived in a grave early in the city of Chicago. We have Operation Epic
That's
Fury,
crazy, y'all.
an actual military operation. There's 13 service members that have been taken out, that have lost their lives, in this operation. And the media is losing their minds over this. Now, I don't say this to
Overseas America. Overseas America. What the heck?
This is to their families, and
Democratic city, left-wing BS. This is really amazing. All left-wing. All left-wing.
And, I'm a huge supporter of service members, but I wanted to show this because since Operation Epic Fury launched, more Americans have been taken out unalived in the city of Chicago than U.S. troops taken out in an entire conflict. You can't make this up, man. This is insane. Crickets on one side. No one talks about what's going on in Chicago.
Antonio, you gotta be trolling, man. Your side know what a woman is. Your side is confused as hell. Period. Your side is confused and corrupt. Our side is about peace and love, man, and less government. You probably on food stamps right now. SNAP benefits looking good.
Kind of. But they're up in arms about this particular conflict and the fact that we have lost 13 people, and it is sad. But the 67 that have lost their lives since February 28th, and that's just February 28th. If you go back into January,
Yep, total batshit crazy. Batshit crazy.
Not over 100. It's sad. But it also just goes to show you that it's selective outrage from mainstream media and selective outrage from the Democrat Party. Because where this crime, where this violence happens at, it's Democrat strongholds. And they're not willing to do anything to solve this problem.
Nope.
It's sad, man. This is an epidemic.
Ain't like folks, man.
So
folks, y'all
man.
out there oppressing other black people with guns, oppressing black people in broad daylight, in the middle of the street, doing nothing. Y'all don't got no job. You are just a bunch of unemployed gay bums. Heavy on the gay part, because all you guys do is wake up and get agitated at what other men are doing with their lives that live on the other side of the street. And then I say that I don't want black people to keep terrorizing other black people anymore, and I'm the coon. I'm the coon. I'm the Uncle Tom. I hate myself. I'm a half-breed. I'm not black enough to comment on the black community. I'm dying black. I'm the bootlicker, right?
I've been saying it for quite some time, man. The real sellouts are the people that want to keep this thing going. The real sellouts are the people that are quiet on the crime that is happening in these communities. They're quiet on the drug dealing. They're quiet on the scamming. And more times than not, it's happening to people that look like them. They're quiet on it. But let one white person step bad, all hell will break loose. It makes absolutely no sense, man. It just goes to show you that, you know, these people do not actually care. They don't.
While y'all victimize yourselves and then go blame the white man for what you're literally doing to each other. So let me get this right. If the white man wants you to stay down and then y'all systematically keep each other down, who's licking whose white man's boots? And then the Democrat politician come, put on some fake accent, pull a bottle of hot sauce out their purse, and y'all just shucking and jiving for them like some retards.
Yeah. All of these places are ran by Democrats.
You think white people are against you, and then you continue antagonizing and oppressing each other and then blaming white folks for it. Guess what, stupid? You're doing it for them. Why would they have to keep you oppressed? And y'all right. It was the white man that got y'all addicted to the welfare state and that flooded y'all communities with drugs and guns so that you could destroy yourselves. And then it would just be the self-eating snake, the self-fulfilling prophecy of victimization and always staying at the bottom of the totem pole of society. But it's not the white man you think. The white liberal wants you begging them for help. They want you like you're these little puppets on a string, and you just dance to the beat of the Democrats' drum.
He's absolutely right there. They got to call it out, man. You get a lot of black folks that say white people, white people, white people. No. Call it properly. White liberals. And white liberals have always been, you know, a thorn in the side of melanated Americans. They've always been, dating back to the 1800s. They are the party of the Confederacy. They are the party, you know what I'm saying, of the Triple K, the party of Jim Crow, party of...
Or it might start lagging or might blank out, Jason. Right, because the truth is coming out, you know? Yep.
Redlining. They're the party that filibustered the Voting Rights Act. I mean, you name it, they've done it. So, you know, when you get out here and they say, oh man, white people, like all white people fit into one category. No, call it out. It's white liberals. And
right, desperate and dishonest, yeah.
Liberals in general, because black liberals and white liberals, they're one and the same. They're in the same boat. They're in the same situation with the same thought talking points and the same ideology, which is reckless, and harmful to the nation.
Okay, master. Okay, yeah, I'm black. Blackness now. Yeah, I'm a victim. You were brainwashed and had your mind warped into thinking that it was Republicans when the Republican Party was started by black men. And the Democrats were literally the party of the Ku Klux Klan. If black people didn't view themselves as victims, how would the Democrats get their votes? Because all they do is placate to your victimhood and you feeling sorry for yourself and feeling entitled to government handouts. And you are dependent on the government. You are controlled by the government and you don't see it. Why don't they see it?
I've been saying that for a long time on this channel. He who clothes, feeds, and houses you, they own you. And that's what the Democrat Party wants, to be honest with you. The Democrat wants to do that to everybody. But that's what they come with when they come to melanated American communities. And also when they're dealing with, Hispanics as well. We're the ones that's going to give you just enough to survive, never enough to thrive. You're never going to be in a situation, where you have a surplus if you're on the Democratic plantation. You're always going to be in a situation where there's too much month for your money. You're always going to be in that situation. And again, these places are also some of the most dangerous places in the country. And for whatever reason, people continue to support these people. Seriously. I'm at a point now, I said this a long time ago, man. Folks was like, man, we're taking your black card, man. I handed that thing in a long time ago, man. Just call me an American, just do that. Just do that. If you had to throw an adjective in there, just say, hey, it's a highly melanated American. Simple as that. If you had to find, throw an adjective in there to describe me. But I don't want to be associated with these fools. I don't want any parts of it. Friend, foe, family, or not. I don't care. Don't want to be a part of it. Simple as that. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this?
The left has truly... All right, y'all. I'm officially coming out as a Republican. The left has truly swayed me over to the right. And I think they're proud of it too. Because all of this stupid controversy going on because of a comment that I made on a TikTok video. The left mob is absolutely losing its mind. And I used to be on the left. I used to be gung-ho LGBT. I was an activist for the LGBT people before gays even had a legal right to marry. I was going out and I was a Galenson representative in my school district. But at this point, I don't want to be associated with the LGBT either, despite even being gay, because I can't stand y'all anymore. I made one comment about a grieving mother who was very respectful about how they were referring to their trans child, by the way. They were referring to them as both Michael and Lexi. And in the comments of people that actually knew her child were referring to her child as Michael. And she was shit on in the comments for referring to her child as her son. Because the left, the trans mob, will never accept that. They can't let a woman who is taking responsibility for not being a present enough mother, for not loving her child enough, who's trying to be a better person and being vulnerable in her grief journey, it's still not good enough. So they have to shit all over her and kick someone when they're down, right? Because that's the righteous thing to do if you're part of the trans mob, insane, liberal left. So I make a comment just basically supporting the mom, saying, you have every right to refer to your child as your son. Apparently that's the worst thing you could ever possibly do as a human being, because I have people coming onto my page, screenshotting my TikToks to shit on my appearance and put it in the comments there. Meanwhile, they look identical to me. They're just white liberal women just flooding the TikTok. That they look like me, like basic white girls. But they're going to shit on my appearance because I said one thing that they disagreed with. it's like, tell me you're mentally ill without telling me you're mentally ill. Like, they're advertising it online at this point. And then just the bullying, like coming to my page when you don't know me, because I made a comment on someone's TikTok that you don't know them either, coming to my page to find videos of me grieving my dead mom, for you to go, you know, talk about him and just misgendering my mom to try to offend me. Like, I don't get offended by pronouns and little tiny words like she, her, he, it, they, like you do. And the fact that you would even go to like my page to shit on my dead mom, like, hello? Is this you trying to convince me to get to your side on the left, to be pro-trans? I was never anti-trans. And anyone that knows me knows this. I've never been shitty to any of the trans people in my life. I've been nothing but supportive. Like, I just... Like, hello?
What's your name? Damn.
Down fucking line.
Announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement, and that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped.
That's his girlfriend? Y'all silly.
Becoming even worse. They stood in the way. They safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary to effectuate the legal process necessary and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation that was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents along with the interagency were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California.
I appreciate that because I can trust him.
Let me show you.
I like her.
Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I like her.
Please.
I like him too.
The president, 1-800-CALL FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have. And
thank you, guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you.
The on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean?
All right, we love you, Antonio. Make sure you subscribe, man. Everybody's welcome to the chat. No bots.
Dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue, every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into late evening hours on Saturday, early evening hours on Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country. Each and every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors
and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed-wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public when appropriate to protect the integrity of this investigation, to make sure that due process is served, and we will meet the highest standards of the Constitution as we always do. And that is when we will continue to disclose information. I know the public has a yearning for information, but just remind yourself of how much information you have already received, how transparent this administration has been. In less than 48 hours, you know almost every single thing we know. And what we have not told you yet, we will tell you in short order. So once again, from me.
All right, you guys. It's been an hour and 54 minutes. I got to get off. Wife got to go to work. We got our grandson here, so we got to tend to the grandson. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Like, share, and comment. Thank you so much. I'll be back.